because it's been 10 years, we can kind of start seeing what the influence of this album, has had on the culture. And we can also compare it to the influence that 808s and Heartbreaks has had on the culture. So I want to start out by asking Tilly, which album between 808s and MBDTF do you think has had more influence on hip hop?
I got to give it to 808s, because if you look at just the people that it's inspired, like you got Drake at the forefront of that. Drake is like a superstar. He is the biggest name in hip hop right now, likely for the foreseeable future. I don't know if anyone's ever going to overtake the pure commercial power of Drake. Like he gets on somebody's track and that thing's probably going number 10. It'll probably give that artist their first number 10 on the Billboard that they've ever had. So, and then you got like Juice WRLD directly saying like, Kanye is like a time traveler, man. He went to 2015 and came back with some sauce when he was talking about 808s. So I think it inspired like a true new generation of hip hop artists. And at the forefront of that is Drake, who is just a megastar.
I'm going to have to agree with Tilly. I do think it's 808. I don't think it's a better album, obviously, than My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, but if we're talking about influence alone, then there is a clear winner on that. It is 808s. There is, as Tilly said before, there are so many artists that have been inspired by this, and I think the most inspiring thing by this is that, Kanye showed that vulnerable side of him. He was showing that, you could dip into different aesthetics and still deliver a really coherent and sellable hip-hop album. And it broke that narrative of it being like, yeah, you can't talk about your personal shit, or you can't talk about this, or you can't put in this aesthetic into albums anymore. You can't do this if you want to sell. Just completely shattered that all with 808s. And not only that, but when I listened to the album, you could hear so many different aesthetics that I hear now. Like there are so many artists that are, I wouldn't say biting, but that directly sample, let's say different instruments or different synths or, different vocal complexions, whatever it is, man, you could hear that influence in some of the most prominent artists to this day. So Lou, I'm going to leave you the floor, man. What do you think it is?
Yeah, I got to agree with you guys. I think overall from what we've seen, 808s is a clear winner, and it has had more influence, at least on this generation, because of, all the implementation of auto-tune and, just like you said, bringing that raw emotion into the album. But MBDTF, for its own merits, it's influenced a lot of people to think outside of the box when it comes to production. And I think that many people can try to replicate and make a good version of 808s, but no one can ever replicate what Kanye did with MBDTF. I don't think anyone can ever do that.
No, I don't think so either. And it's funny because MBDTF is such a wordful, man. We've been saying it 15 times over in this episode, but it's a masterpiece. It's a masterpiece that will never be replicated. The quality on the album is unprecedented, and it's an album that's going to stick with generations to come.